The truth is, you have already decided. At some point between your morning alarm and the long drive home, you decided you'd had enough. And every morning since then, you've been waiting for the right moment. You know there's no right moment. So why do you stay? You picture a scenario, one where you finally leave, one where everything falls apart, you go broke, and then you're explaining yourself to your dad at Thanksgiving dinner. That's anxiety, and it's keeping you poor. Staying at your job is costing you, right now, in ways you can't even see. The truth is, your company decided what your time was worth the day they hired you. Since then, every raise, every bonus they gave to you was predetermined by people you've never met. Meanwhile, your food got more expensive. Gas shot through the roof. But the guys hiring across the street, they're paying a lot more for your time. They always have been. I get it. You stayed at your current job because of your sense of loyalty, your fear, your friendships. And because of that, every day you clock in is costing you money. Your work buddies are not worth the sacrifice you're making to your future. So, by the end of this video, you'll have a number that changes the way you think about quitting. With it, leaving your job will change from a reckless gamble to a strategic decision. First, let's talk about what staying is already costing you. And no, I'm not just talking about the money. Your time, the one cost you never earn back. Right now, you've got a boss that talks to you like you're a little kid, a schedule that you have to rearrange your life around, co-workers that you can't talk to for more than 5 minutes, or you start getting a migraine. You might have 1 or 2 of them you'd miss. That's exactly what's holding you down. But all that is just surface level stuff that you complain about in the car on your way home. This is a finance channel, so I'm here to tell you the hard, concrete truth. Every year you spend at your current job is a year you spend getting better at that job. The job where you've already hit a dead end. You're grinding like a slave to what? Maybe be a manager of other slaves one day? Meanwhile, remember that guy that got hired at the same time as you, but left a month later? He started where you were, but he jumped ship the second he found a higher paying company. He wasn't worried about loyalty or fear. He simply followed the money. You could have left with him. Same gig, higher pay, a year ago. Instead, you spent that year getting better at a job you're going to quit anyway, meeting nobody new, and turning down offers you never even saw because you weren't looking. Loyalty is a lie you tell yourself when you're too scared to make a decision. And that fear isn't stupid, it's pointing out a real issue. But that issue is a lot thinner than you think. Let's look at what you're scared of. You lie in bed at 2 a.m. and question your life decisions. You think about the consequences of leaving work, and in your mind, it goes something like this. You quit your job. You finally free yourself from your oppressive workplace. But in the next few days, none of the jobs you've applied to call you back. Your savings run dry in a month, or sooner. Rent comes around and you simply can't pay it. Then you're right back at your parents' house at the ripe old age of 26, with everyone who ever doubted you getting proved right. It's a terrifying sequence of events for sure. It's also completely made up. Ask yourself, how much money would you really need to survive the gap between this job and the next? How much for rent, food, gas, and insurance? How much for that stupid car payment you got tricked into? You likely don't know, and that's the problem. You've treated this situation like a fall into darkness because you've never measured the drop. Your brain will fill the unknown space with the worst outcome you can imagine, every single time. But that guy who left, a month in, he didn't have more courage than you. He had a clear, concise number. He knew how much the gap cost, so he prepared for it. Now it's time for you to prepare for it. The cost is cheaper than you think, and you're closer to it than you realize. Let me introduce you to what I call the runway. This is the number that shows you how long you can keep living after the paychecks stop. It's what's standing between you and the exit. Forget what you saw on Reddit or TikTok. I'm sure they told you the key was 6 months of expenses minimum, and you knew it would take you way too long to get to that point. Guess what? 6 months of your life savings is essentially preparing for a disaster you're never going to have. You're not getting laid off without a warning. You're leaving when and how you choose. So here's how you get the number you need to prepare yourself for the big day. Add up the obvious ones like rent, food, gas, insurance. Don't forget that car payment, your phone bill, any subscriptions you may have, and really, you could stand to lose a few. In this case, let's say that puts you at $2,000. This is your survival number, meaning the absolute minimum. No DoorDash, no fast food. You'll be eating beans, rice, and discount protein. It sucks, but so does your job. Multiply your minimum by 3 so you have a generous buffer. In this case, that's $6,000. Does that sound impossible to get to? Cancel Netflix, cancel Hulu, start watching YouTube for free instead, or go touch grass. Get a side hustle. I made a whole video on how to make money on your phone. Go watch that. And if my methods work for you, maybe you can keep that Tinder Gold subscription you think is absolutely necessary. All of this is really a wide safety net for a situation that will resolve much sooner. The average job search takes weeks, not months. And either way, you're going to be applying now while you're still working the sucky job. If you're in a trade or have a certificate in something niche, your search becomes shorter. 6,000 isn't that hard. It's a couple months of cooking at home instead of eating out, watching PewDiePie instead of The Office, a few good flips on Facebook Marketplace, if you watched the phone video. You've been imagining a cliff, but it's a staircase with real solid steps. And that savings number buys you more than just survival. With that number in your bank, you stop taking whatever job you get offered first, and you start looking at alternative options. So let's look at these options, starting with the easiest. Your boss cannot pay you what you're worth. He literally cannot. It's not because he doesn't want to, even though that's probably true. It's actually because every raise an employee can get is decided way before you ask for one. Corporate sits down for a Zoom meeting and discusses how to spend every dollar, and employees get the smallest slice of the pie. By the time you demand a raise, the money for one is already spent on pizza parties or pens with the company logo on them. You're told to ask again next year. Maybe you'll get 2% if you're lucky. The conversation always goes the same exact way. No matter how hard you argue your position, your boss will just nod his head, say, "Let me see what I can do," then give you that 2% you were already going to get at the end of the year. At least you got it a few months early, right? But seriously, go look across the street. That other company has a job opening. They've been looking for someone to fill it for a month. Their budget for this is different. Instead of a pre-approved fixed amount, this price is based on how bad they need that position filled. And if you crush it in the interview, you can convince them that this price is a little higher than what they were offering you initially. They have no clue how much money you make right now. They don't know they're technically offering you a $5 an hour raise. Same you with the same skills. This time, you've negotiated your worth properly. If the market sucks, the pay difference may not be as wide. Maybe less companies are hiring. Maybe they'd rather hire an H-1B at $19 an hour instead of the $25 the position is really worth. The math is always the same. Leaving almost certainly pays better than staying. And if you've been checking Indeed or ZipRecruiter regularly, you know I'm telling the truth. But what you may have also noticed is that it's not just companies in your field of work that are hiring on those apps. I know you've seen those other careers, the ones you've told yourself you could never do. Well, what if a career change is exactly what you need? The part most people never stop to consider is that their job just sort of happened to them. Think about it. You were young and you needed money. Someone was hiring for a decent amount at the time, so you took the job. Fast forward a few years and you're still working the same job, even if the location is a bit different. You're still doing delivery or working at a warehouse, doing manual labor, whatever. Nothing has really changed. But tell me this, has anyone asked you what you actually want to do? Here's what I want you to do for me. Open Indeed on your phone right now, like you always do while sitting on the toilet and avoiding your coworkers. This time will be different though. I want you to stop filtering the jobs by their titles. Stop looking for the same job you're working right now. Look at what actually pays in your city. Electrical apprentice, fiber technician, dispatcher, medical coding, if you'd rather be sitting down. Half these job postings say no experience needed, will train. These are jobs no one's applying for because everyone is chasing some 4-year degree that will be rendered obsolete by AI in a few years. How many times have you seen people with bachelor's or even master's degrees working at Starbucks, surviving off of tips? These people trusted their parents' advice, went to an expensive college, and now they're on the hook for tens of thousands of dollars with no way to pay it off. You need to be different. The trades are being aged out, meaning all the old guys are retiring, and companies need young blood to fill those spots right now. It's supply and demand, and you are what these companies are demanding. It won't be easy. The hardest part is the gamble you take, or the pay cut you need to eat while you go through training. There are real costs to switching, and anyone who tells you differently is lying. But compare that with the cost of staying. You know how much your current job will pay in 20 years because you've met the guy who's been there that long. I'm sure he isn't very thrilled about it. Right now, you're in your 20s or close to it. This is the part of your life where you can actually make risky decisions. You don't have a mortgage or a big family relying on you. When you're 40 years old, do you really want to be looking back and regretting the changes you never made? It's time to start looking at the bigger picture, the one where you're in control, not just a spectator. You made your decision. Nothing I've said in this video has changed that fact. But now the objective is clearer. Now you know what a month of your life costs. You know what it will take to leave without going homeless. Here comes the part where you actually do it. Open your banking app and add up what you'll need for the gap between this job and the next. Get a good feeling for what you absolutely need to pay for and what needs to be cut out. Then open Indeed and look at what companies are paying for the job you already have. Once you've got that number, compare it to jobs you've never bothered to look at, but you know pay very well. Look at the job you've dreamed of doing. Just look, everywhere and anywhere. You'll see that the gap between where you're at right now and where you could be is just a few rough months away. The guy who quit a month after you both got hired isn't braver than you, but he did the math. The math told him to jump ship. And when it's your turn to go, when you're finally making what you deserve, your options will grow. You'll start to treat money like a resource. And I have the best method for growing that money into real generational wealth that actually gives you the keys to your endgame. Check that video out in the description below. While you're down there, check out my affiliate links too. They've got some good stuff that I know will help get you out of this slump. You escaped the job, now go make your money work for you. Stack smart.